Hi everyone! So, I am so happy to just be sitting down and filming a video. I haven't done this in a long while and I'm just just stuff is on my mind. Stuff that I'm learning, stuff that I'm, experiencing, realizing, all the good stuff that we tend to go through when we're on this journey of spiritual growth and embodying more of who we really are in this physical form so we can live our best lives, because that's what we're here to do. I go to a Course in Miracles group on Monday nights and I love the book so much. I use a lot of the principles of A Course in Miracles in my coaching, and it's a really good way to shift our perception, shift our mindset, and to really help us understand that we are in charge of everything we're experiencing and we have the power to change everything from within by changing our mind set, by changing our thought patterns. So I was at A Course in Miracles. I was talking to a woman about emotions, and while I was in the group, I was feeling a lot of fear that day. Fear is always one thing I want to let you know. One thing I've realized is that fear is always rooted in the past. It's always accumulation of stuff that's happened in the past, and then that fear projects onto the future. So then we think the future will be just like the past. So it's always rooted in the past. And so I had a lot of fear around with the new year coming up and just things I want to do and places I want to go and all of that stuff. There was a lot of fear coming up and I was very uneasy. And I could feel it really strongly, right here. And as I was talking to this woman, she kind of asked me a question about how I really process the fear. And I'm going to create a course on this next year. It's happening because so many of us experience fear. Actually, everyone experiences fear. Hello, if you're human, you're going to experience fear. But we don't understand how to heal it or change our relationship with it, and then it becomes this encompassing, consuming thing that we're constantly feeling, and we don't know what to do with it. So that's where I was, and as I was talking to her, she kind of asked me, like, what do you do? And I realized, like, I have a process to how I, heal my fear or deal with the fear. And this is from A Course in Miracles. This is something I learned. This is my own experience of how I want to process fear according to the book. And so one of the things I really do is I notice the fear. I think so many of us are constantly feeling fear, but we try to ignore it and we try to put it to the side. And we think like, oh, you know what? I'll just distract myself and I'll just focus on, doing something else, or I'll talk to somebody else. But it's still there. It's lurking in the background. And that approach does not work for me. Like, hello, it's like an open tab in my brain. And if there's an open tab in my brain and I'm trying to open up other tabs to distract myself from this really, really impending open tab in my brain, which is fear, I'm just in denial. And I don't like living in denial, because to me, denial is one of those worst things you can do for yourself, because it's so not loving. And so when the fear is there, I really have to look at it. I have to deal with it. I have to acknowledge it and find a way to transform it, transcend it, and to change it, and to alchemize it into love. So that's how I like to approach it. So one of the things I love doing is when I notice the fear, I notice it in my chest. And for me, it's coming back to my breath. So it's breathing in and breathing out, and really breathing into the fear and creating this sense of expansion within my body as much as I can through my breath, because the fear makes me want to feel really small and constricted and tight, right? And so as I'm breathing in, I'm allowing myself the space to feel expansive, even though the fear is there and wants to constrain me and make me feel really small. So that's the first thing I do. I breathe heavily, deeply. I breathe in and I breathe out. And I do that a couple of times and to just really create a sense of expansiveness in my being. And the next thing I do is I start talking to the fear. And I just say these really powerful lines. I forgive it. I say, I forgive you, fear. I forgive you, fear. And the reason I say I forgive you, fear, because A Course in Miracles says that forgiveness is undoing fear and reclaiming love. And so what I really want to do is undo this fear and reclaim love, to then alchemize the fear to turn into love, right? Because only love is real. So I say, I forgive you, fear. And I'm still breathing in and out, like taking long, deep breaths. And I'm doing this mentally in my head. You don't have to do it out loud. I don't do this out loud. I just say, I forgive you, fear. I close my eyes if I can. I just say, I forgive you, fear. I forgive you, fear. I forgive you, fear. And then I start to say, I love you, fear. I love you, fear. I love you, fear. Because forgiveness undoes the fear and reclaims love. And love is what heals, right? Loving anything will heal it, because love is the most powerful force in the entire universe. Love is who I am. Love is what is real. Love is everything. Love is such a high vibration energy. And anything we love, we alchemize. We make it like itself. So I say, I love you, fear. I love you, fear. I love you, fear. I love you, fear. And as I'm doing this process, I start to feel this sense of expansiveness and lightness, and it starts to feel lighter, and it's as if it's dissolving or disintegrating. I'm doing this for about like 3 to 5 minutes, however long it takes. But by the end of this process of breathing deeply, acknowledging the fear, breathing deeply, saying I love you, fear, saying I forgive you, fear, saying I love you, fear, by the end of that like 3-5 minute process, I feel so much lighter, and I feel so much aware that this fear is occurring in me, but it's not me. Because I have awareness of the fear, it cannot be me. It's present in my vibration, in my energy, in my being. But because I have this awareness that this is fear and this is me, then I know that this is not really who I am. This fear is not really who I am. And so doing that process of I forgive you, fear, I love you, fear, helps me see myself separate, helps me see myself as not the fear, and see myself as who I really am, which is my true self, which is my God force self, which is the spirit, whatever. But I become spirit identified in that moment. And then I'm looking at the fear, and I'm looking at it rather than being it. When I'm looking at it, I can then take my power back. And then I can decide, okay, how do I want to participate or engage with this fear? And I say, forgive you, because forgiveness undoes the fear and it reclaims love. And I love you, fear, because love is what heals, love is what transforms, love is what makes everything whole again. And that's the process I take myself through. And by the end of that process, I feel so much more lighter and so much more clear and so much more tuned into my true self, my God self, my identity with spirit. And this is something that is so pivotal and so huge for me, because it really helps me to understand that fear is not who I am. Fear is an emotion that arises within me that's always rooted in my past and rooted in reality. It's always coming from this outside world. It's always an outside in experience I'm having. Something out here triggered me, and then the fear arises within me, but it's not who I am, because I have awareness of the fear. If I'm aware of something, then I'm not that something. I'm the awareness who's aware of it. That is how I love to take myself through this process when I experience the fear, and it just really helps me feel connected to my true self and brings me back in alignment and embodied as the awareness, as the self, as the God self. So I hope this process helps you. If you try this, let me know in the comments below, and share with me maybe a process you have or something you do to take yourself through when you're experiencing fear, something you may say to yourself, whatever it is. I'd love to know. I'd love to engage with you and connect with you further on this topic. And before I go, I would love to offer you an invitation to come work with me one-on-one. I do private one-on-one coaching to really help us dismantle our egos, to look at our darkness, to look at our shadows, to understand who we think we are and realize who we really are, and come home to our true self. So if you would love support and guidance on your journey, then I would love to work with me. You can just go ahead and send me an email and we can connect further. Wherever you are in the world, have the day you want to have, and stay open.